Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. It is Michael from Hallowed Thrills back with another video, and we are here at Universal for something very special. But before we get into that, please make sure you subscribe and have the bell notification turned on to get notified whenever I post a video. Make sure you're following both Instagram and Twitter. The links are down in the description below. But let's go check out what we are seeing today. So we are here bright and early in the morning, not for Horror Nights, well, kind of. We are not heading into the park, but heading left towards the old Blue Man Group building. That is right, we have our Unmasking the Horror tour this morning. This has been kind of a thing I've been doing every single year, I think since 29. I've been doing these Unmasking the Horror tours. Love doing the Unmasking the Horror tour, love seeing behind the scenes of these houses. And today I have our 6-house tour on deck for us. So I'm gonna be filming stuff that is in the park as we go from house to house, but primarily this video is just gonna be a lot of voiceovers with pictures overlaid from inside the houses of what we can really take pictures of, and the kind of little perks that they tell us about, like in little insights about the houses that they tell us about. Over here by Rip Ride Rockets where we're heading in though, because there's our sign, Halloween Horror Nights, Unmasking the Horror Tour, check-in. So let's head this way. So as always with our Unmasking the Horror Tour, we get our little accoutrements here of our yearly pin or button. This year's is a little interesting. Probably not my favorite that we've gotten of past years. On the back, let's see, what's our little synopsis in the back. Yeah, kind of about the same that they've been doing the past couple years. And then let's take a look at this year's lanyard. Not my favorite. Better than last year's though, because last year's was a little plain, but not too bad this year actually. I was a bit concerned the last time that we were here, but yeah, not too bad this year. And we have of course our little radio so that we can hear what our guide is saying throughout the house. And speaking about houses, the 6-house tour, we are seeing Universal Monsters, Chucky, Stranger Things, Blood Moon, Dark Offering, Dueling Dragons, and Yeti Campground Kills is our last one for our 6-house tour today. So here in our waiting room, they're kind of just showing little trailers of a couple of the houses that are in here this year, as well as some of the trailers for house announcements. And then they also, right across from us over here, have some of the costumes from previous years. The one on the right there being from Bugs Eaten Alive, and the one on the left being from Sweet Revenge. Really cool costumes to have just chilling here that were used at the event.
What about me? This is how I got into this event. For years, this event intimidated me. I preferred Halloween events that were maybe not so scary. But coming and doing this tour, it let me realize, like, oh, this is cool, this is what this is. And being able to kind of poke around and see the backstage of it really gave me an appreciation for it, especially seeing how it works from all the way from our senior show directors on down to our scare actors. The passion that's involved with this. And I love being able to share their stories. So we're going to see a lot of cool things here.
So we are starting off our tour in Blood Moon Dark Offering. Now, one of the coolest things that they were talking about during our tour for this house was how it has real-time house progression for the story. So as you're going through this house, it is scene by scene telling you the exact story of what's going on and the continuation of the story that was told during the Universal podcast. Now, the first room that we walk into after the entrance facade is the sawmill room. Now, this sawmill room has a ton of different things in it, including a statue scare, a hidden door, which they call an egress route. So if a scare actor needs to get out of the room, they can use that hidden door. And the totem creation that's in the middle of the sawmill, they started creating this totem to start building for the sacrifice that they need to do. Now, one of the cool things that they were able to show us is that they were able to point out that there's a scare actor that happens to be in the pub as well as on the catwalk, like outside of the pub. And another one of the things that they pointed out was Dylan Kolath is part of the decor team, and they put his name kind of on the shoe shop to kind of show off and be like, hey, he was a part of this. Now, a lot of the tools that were used to recreate this house and to build this house were actually accurate for the time period of this house, and most of those tools were kind of just scattered around the house as just props and decorations. So every year in a house they have a repeating prop that goes in every single one of the houses that kind of goes with a theme for the event. Last year's was a spider that was in every house, and this year it is a frog that is in every house. So this is the frog for Blood Moon Dark Offering. Now in the bar, in the pub, the antlers that are in the pub are actually reused from Yeti Terror of the Yukon. I thought that was really cool and a really nice detail. And then when we get into the church, now the church, I absolutely loved the church. I took so many pictures in here, but the one thing that was pointed out to us a lot in this church was how on the whiteboard they have the Oddfellow logo. It's a little odd that it's in there, but it has a slight reference to how that logo has kind of been predating Oddfellow, and Oddfellow just kind of decided, hey, I'm going to use that as my own thing. Also in the church, we have another statue scare, and then on some of the faces of the actual statues, there is the symbol of the false-hearted, or the symbol of the followers, carved into their face. And one of the last things that we see is the bell tower, and you can hear that bell tower ringing throughout the house, and I thought that bell tower was so cool when I went through that house.
We just got done going through Blood Moon Dark Offering, my favorite house so far this year. Absolutely love it. Cannot wait to go through it more. But there were some really cool details that you definitely wouldn't notice during the nighttime operation that I was able to see during the day, and just really all the facts that were given about these houses is what really draws me to go on these tours. But next up, our next house that we're checking out is Stranger Things 4. For you IP fans, this one's for you.
Now, as always, like you can expect with an IP house such as Stranger Things, we weren't really able to take a lot of pictures. So the first picture that we were able to take was of the facade, which is Eddie's trailer. And when you're walking towards the trailer, in one of the windows off to the right, you can see a projection of Chrissy being kind of lifted in the air and her bones starting to like kind of crack and break. And one of the cool things that was pointed out in the trailer, which I wasn't allowed to take a picture of, was there was a Dracula, Mummy, and Wolfman VHS in the trailer as just a reference to Legends Collide from last year. Now, from Eddie's trailer, you enter into Eddie's trailer in the facade, and then when you exit out the back of the trailer, you're actually exiting through Max's trailer into the backyard of Max's trailer. And I thought that was super cool, and a detail that I would not have noticed and otherwise. Now, here is our frog for this house. This house's frog is a red-eyed tree frog, because Vecna has red eyes, I guess. I don't know. Now, in this house in particular, there was a lot of LexJet scrim used to kind of block off different things and only allow you to see them when a light is flashed and like shined on them. So that's kind of something that is similar to that of like what's used on windows of buses for like decals. I thought that was a really nice touch. Then we made it into Vecna's Mine Lair. Vecna's Mine Lair was so cool to see in person with the lights on and everything. We got to see the body of Chrissy, we got to see the body of Fred, and of course we got to see the Rose door. That door is amazing. It is so cool, so nice, detailed. It literally looks like you ripped it straight out of the show. Now, there was a little scene that we walked into that was pointed out to us that was actually the swimming pool that Barb died in. And once again, had it not been pointed out to me, I would have had no clue. And our last scene that we were able to take pictures in was the scene with Max lifting in the air in the attic. And you can see that there's pictures of the notes and the pictures from Lucas, and when Lucas and Max were kind of talking back and forth and just kind of drawing on their notepads. And then the Max statue that is in this house for this scene was made specifically for this house. They had to work with both Netflix, Stranger Things, and a bunch of different companies to make it look as accurate as they possibly could. So right after Stranger Things, we went immediately right into our next house, which was Dueling Dragons, Choose Thy Fate. And we were able to take a ton of pictures in this house. So I have a ton of pictures from this one in particular. So when you're first walking in, you get a nice picture of that Enchanted Oak Tavern facade. So this is what Merlin looks like when he was turned into the Enchanted Oak. Super cool. And we were actually told that in this house, as you're going through this house, you were actually on Team Merlin. You're not on Team Fire, you're not on Team Ice, you're on Team Merlin, and you are part of Merlin's team trying to beat Blizzrock and Pyrock to the book. And to me, that made this house make way more sense. I had no idea. But when you first go into the house, you're going through the Enchanted Forest. This scene is so cool, being able to see all the foliage and everything so detailed. They actually pointed out this bee right here that was from the Bugs Eaten Alive house. They pretty much said anytime that there is a bug in any of these houses from now until the end of time, it's probably from Bugs Eaten Alive. Now, there were actually 2 frogs in this house. Of course, there was one of fire and one of ice, and both were very cool. Now, this entrance right here is the actual entrance that was from the attraction, to the actual like castle entrance. I thought that was a really nice touch and something they didn't really need to add, but it really it tied the whole thing together and really made you feel like you were walking in the attraction. Now, on the spell book itself, you see a couple things that are printed on the book, including XXXII, which is 32 in Roman numerals. Thought that was a nice touch. And then also in the book, you see the Oddfellow logo. And in the shelf that's in the right in that room, there are dragons that are it's a dragon that is fading from fire to ice. It is a really cool dragon. And also in there was a dagger that you'll see that one of the scare actors used later on in the house. Now, in this next scene, you see the Terra Queen shield. So this is a shield. There's a couple of shields through this house that you'll see this kind of logo on, and this is actually a shield that has the Terra Queen logo on it. So it's just kind of a nod to an older icon from HHN past. Now, just like in HHN 30 where we had the vines that spelled out icons, we have the bones that spell out heed me. And this is just a nod to the attraction. Personally, I don't know much about the attraction, so I can't really tell you the nod that it's giving, but that's what we were told. Now, right before you get to the big thing with both the dragons, you have a little baby dragon skeleton right above the doorway. I thought that was really cool, and they told us kind of how each part of the skeleton was and what it was from, to kind of build that quote-unquote baby dragon. But now we're on to this dragon scene. This dragon scene is gorgeous. Both dragons look amazing. And when the lights are on and the stage lights are on and everything, they have the fog coming out of the mouths. It is a really cool scene, a sight to behold when the house is up and running. It is a really beautiful house. But now we move on to the Choose Thy Fate section, and we got to walk through both the fire and ice section, and we were actually told a really interesting fact that the ice section in this house is just a little bit longer than the fire side, and that is a nod to the actual attraction itself, as the queue line for the actual ice section was a little bit longer than the fire side. I just thought that was a really cool nod. And as always, like they keep saying in this house, there are 4 endings to this house. So you either choose fire, ice, and your options are, if you choose fire, you can get Blizzrock winning, and if you choose ice, you can get Pyrock winning. But also, since you're on Team Merlin, you can also get Merlin winning. So it really depends on which cast you get. But if one side has the Warlock, the other side will definitely have Merlin winning. It's just kind of whichever you get. But in my couple run-throughs that I've had Blizzrock, I've had Pyrock, and then I've had Merlin on the Blizzrock side.
All right, so we've gone through all 3 of our morning houses, which were sound stages. So we got, I think, 1 more sound stage, and then we have a parade building and the Fast and Furious queue left. But yeah, we're gonna go get some lunch now, and then we'll loop back around after lunch to do the rest of our tour. We have officially departed to head out for lunch. We have about a little over an hour for lunch, and then we have to be back here for the second half of our tour. And they send you out to City Walk, and you can basically just get whatever. Unfortunately, they don't provide any sort of voucher like they maybe should for the price of it, but yeah, so we're heading out to City Walk. I'm gonna get some food, but while we're walking out there, let's talk about what we've seen so far. Personally, out of the 3 that we've seen so far, I love the fact that we were able to take pictures of basically everything in Dueling Dragons. That house is so scenically beautiful, and I love just the amount of pictures that we were able to take in there, and I hope you guys did enjoy those pictures. I tried to do my best to take some pictures of it. I have a light with me to be able to take good pictures of certain areas that are a little bit darker. And then probably Stranger Things would be my least favorite that we've done so far, just because I know it's an IP, so we don't really get to take a lot of pictures of everything. But honestly, the rest of the stuff, Blood Moon, it's my favorite house as of right now, so taking pictures of that was so good. I loved taking pictures of that house and being able to see most of the stuff in that house during the day with the lights on. So cool. Gives me just an even better appreciation of the amount of effort and time that goes into creating these houses for the event. And just like that, we're done with lunch. I went to Hard Rock again. That's where I went last year. It's the closest restaurant to where we need to be, so it's super easy, and they're normally pretty quick in getting service in there, and the food is delicious, so I had to stop there. That's where I went. But now we're heading back in to do the second half of our tour for today.
So our first house for the second half of our tour was Yeti Campground Kills, and the first thing you see when you walk into this house is the Shadow Creek State Park. Now this is a reference to 2 things. First of all, being Yeti Terror of the Yukon, the campsite for that was also Shadow Creek, and then also the group that was in charge of Havoc Dogs of War, like the organization, was also called the Shadow Creek Incorporated. So I thought that was a really nice nod back to HHN history. And now on the ranger station, it does say Ranger Station 32. That's where we're at, and that's the big building you see there when you walk in. 32 being HHN 32, of course. And then when you walk in, one of the coolest things that I was laughing about the entire time was our tour guide was pointed out this phone right here, and he said, "This is a phone that, you know, just happens to be black." Now, he didn't really say. He's like don't look into it too much, but it is a black phone. But I 100% know that that's from Blumhouse. It literally looks like the exact same phone. Next up on the shelf, you had a skull, and he said this skull was actually used in one of the museum section from Case Files. And I thought that was really cool. I loved that house, so I was super cool to see something from that house represented in this one. Then we had these booklets, and these booklets say First Aid and then HHN 32. And then there was also ones that said YT, and then like when you mixed up the letters, it said Yeti. I thought that was also a really nice kind of nod as well. In the next room, you go to this little campsite, and you have these scent canisters that make it smell like toasted marshmallow. And I 100% remember going through that scene and being like, wow, that smells really cool. And it's because of that scent canister. And honestly, this scene itself is really cool. I love the animatronic that gets dragged back into the tent like he's getting killed by a Yeti. And then we have this board here, and it has a little bit of a nod to another mythical creature of folklore, and that is the jackalope. Maybe a possible house in the future. Nod, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. You know. And then there was this Yeti on top of the bait shack. I took a picture of it because I thought it looked hilarious. I don't know why. It's just a big old Yeti holding up the word bait. And then you go through the bait shack, and then there's a section where there's a beekeeper section where The Yeti that actually comes out of there is covered in honey. Now, during the actual walkthrough in the night, I could not see that because it was very dark, but it does make sense now as to why the Yeti's kind of fur was a little bit matted down and sticky looking. And then we finally get to our frog in this house, and the frog, he's just waiting for flies underneath like the electrical fly zapper. So I thought that was a really nice touch of putting the frog right there. It actually made sense in this house to put him there. And then we head into the campground bathrooms where we see the snake. Now, this is specifically for one of the guys who works through creative. His name's Charles Gray, and apparently he has a phobia of things crawling up in a campground toilet and kind of, either biting him or stinging him or whatever. So they decided, we're going to put a snake in the campground toilet just to mess with Charles. And I thought that was really funny and a really cool addition. And next up, we move to the campsite. And of course, the campsite itself is going to be 1 through 32. And the campsite for the retirement party is, of course, the campsite 32. Of course, another nod to the event year being 32. And after that, we actually get to see the watchtower that was referenced on the radio from the beginning of the house, where we were trying to get to that watchtower to escape. I thought that was really nice. And throughout this entire house, we are referencing, they reference this is the baby Yeti. The baby Yeti was killed at the very beginning of the house, as you see here. And later on, we see that the Yetis finally get revenge on Billy for killing the baby Yeti. So at the very end of the house, you see the mother Yeti holding up Billy's head and pretty much ushering you out of the end of the house. This is a really nice house, and I really did enjoy walking through it.
All right, so we're done with our backstage sound stages. Now we're heading to our next house because we are over here by the arcade and by Louis, because we're heading into the Fast and Furious queue to check out Chucky Ultimate Kill Count. Probably one of my biggest disappointments of the event so far, but maybe this tour will help shed some light on the details of it and make me appreciate it a little bit more.
Yes, Chucky. So this house, I enjoy the details that they put into it. Now, it was pointed out to us at the very beginning of the house, which I wasn't able to take a picture of it in the beginning, but I took a picture of it later on in the house. But throughout this entire house, you have these good guy doll footprints pretty much all over the place. We were told that they were these bloody footprints, and how they did it was they literally took a good guy doll, dipped its feet in either fake blood or fake blood mixed with red paint, and just pressed them all over the floor and make it look like Chucky's been running around. And I thought that was a really nice touch. Now we have the Child's Play 2 scene with the factory. I'm not really sure. I've never seen the movie, so I don't really know a lot about it. And then here we have C88. And that is a nod to the fact that Chucky, the original movie, was released in 1988. And then we have the Child's Play 2 scene with Tiffany Valentine, with the doll in the bathtub. And I thought that was a really nice nod to that movie. And then we have the puppet spark scare. This scare, when you're going through the house, is so well done. It does not even look like there is an actor behind it kind of manipulating that puppet. It literally looks like Chucky's just kind of back there just running that metal rod across the grate to make it spark. Love that effect in the house. And then we have the end of the first part, which is our Chucky attraction gift shop. So the first half of that, the entire house is basically like if Universal created a Chucky walkthrough attraction. So, of course, every walkthrough attraction has to have a gift shop that you get dumped into. So that's basically kind of what the first part of the house is. And the second part is kind of a Chucky's version of what he thinks should be done with it. Now we move into another section, which is kind of our Christmassy section from the TV show. And you have mistletoe, because of course you can't have Christmas without mistletoe. And also in this room, you have the only guest-activated trigger at the event this year. And this guest-activated trigger, when you press it, shoots fog into the fireplace off to the right. Love this guest-activated trigger. It's a bit unfortunate that it's in this house this year, but I hope that this brings us to getting more in the future. Now, there is a room in this house that I unfortunately wasn't able to take a picture of, but the dark room with all the Chucky heads in it. So this is actually a nod to every single Child's Play / Chucky movie and how Chucky quote unquote dies at the end. So I thought that was a really nice nod to just the entire franchise. And the last thing that we get to see after seeing Father Bryce here, who's trying to exorcise Chucky and getting killed, unfortunately. After seeing that, we see the kill counter as you're pretty much about to leave the house. Now, unfortunately, we were told that the kill counter is not accurate for everybody going through the house. It just goes on a constant loop, which I would love to see if it actually was an accurate kill counter. But regardless, it is a really nice touch.
Now we have our very long walk from Fast and Furious all the way back to the old brewery building as we head to our last house of our tour, which is Universal Monsters Unmasked, another one of my favorite houses at this year's event. So I'm super excited to see some of the stuff with the lights on. All right, we finally made it. We're heading into Universal Monsters Unmasked, our last house of the day.
Oh boy, do I have a lot of stuff to talk about for this house. So, starting off in this first room, we have the beautiful entrance facade with the bridge as we're heading into the sewers and the canals underneath of France and Paris. So you see that amazing moon that's in the back that we were pretty much told looks like it was kind of left there after Legends Collide. Wasn't even moved. It almost looks like it's in the exact same spot, so I thought that was funny. But in that, on the bridge, you see a policeman during the actual event who is pretty much getting messed with by the Invisible Man. You can't see anybody, of course, because he's invisible, but you hear the Invisible Man kind of messing with him and joking with him. Now, also along the sides of the little path there, they have newspapers and posters that are all in French. And I thought that was a really nice touch because, you know, we are in France, so it does make sense that all of the newspapers and everything would be in French. And that goes for everything that's in this house. Most of the posters and stuff that are throughout the entire house are all in French. Now, the first room that we head into after the entrance facade, you get to see a scare from the Phantom on the left, but also behind that, you get to see the traditional Phantom mask and a violin. I thought that was really cool. Unfortunately, in this house, you don't see that Phantom mask used, as Phantoms decided to use a bit of a different style of mask in this house, which we'll see a little bit later. So now, the next scene you get to see are the canals that are underneath the Opera House, and they have a really cool lighting effect that makes it look like the water is actually on your left, and it is so awesome to see this during the night and see that scare by Phantom in there. It is super dark and gritty in there, and I love it. And then after that, we get to see a poster talking about Christine Daae's last performance, which is actually why Phantom is so upset in this house. So they're trying to find a replacement for Christine, and he doesn't want Christine to leave the theater. So he's just going and killing everybody that they find. And that's kind of what this entire section for him is about. And here we see those new masks that I was talking about, the Phantom decided to use. So when he's killing all these people, he is actually cutting their faces off to use as his own little mask to replace his side of the face that's missing. Isn't that lovely? And this room right here, we had a big gap between that last room and the next one, we have a transformation scene for Invisible Man. The Invisible Man section, although it was short, was super well done, and I loved it. So this transformation scene, actually the last time that I ran through the house, scared the hell out of me. It was so dark that I could not see, so one of them really got me. Super well done, though. And then we run into the many rooms of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Love every single room for him. Littered with posters written in French. One of the posters in particular that we were shown, our tour guide actually talked to us about it, and he's like, yeah, so this one in particular is a little bit of a joke by the prop design team. He's like, if you translate it, it says, this is a French poster, it doesn't have to make sense. I thought that was hilarious. And then they also showed us another poster that was in this room that says Boat Tours Black Lagoon. Which creature from the Black Lagoon? Could we maybe see a creature house in the future? Who knows? Now, one of the scenes that you see in this area, has this wallpaper behind it, which was a really cool like lantern, kind of to reference Jack the Ripper and stuff of that sort. With the lantern, him being a lamplighter, I thought that was really nice. And then we have the spine ripper effect. This effect has gotten me so many times. We have the blood spray at you. Super well done effect, and the Mr. Hyde that is in there does a fantastic job, literally making it look like he is ripping that person's spine out of their back. So well done. And then we have the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde transformation scene where Dr. Jekyll goes back to his main form, the human form. It's a nice nod to him. And then our last couple scenes, we see the Hunchback scenes. This bell tower is gorgeous, the Notre Dame bell tower, and Hunchback kind of being able to lean over and use the bungees to get you. It fits so well, and I love it. And then we go inside of the Notre Dame Cathedral and get to see a little bit of inside of it. They didn't really have much to say about the inside here, but it makes the house make so much more sense, and I love it for that. After the Notre Dame Cathedral, you head back into the sewers, and this is where we actually get to see our frog for this house. And last but not least in this house, of course, you can't end a Universal Monster house without a convergent scare. So that is 3 scares pretty much coming one after another, or just all together at once if you get that. So you have Phantom on the left, Mr. Hyde on the right, and then right in front of you have the Invisible Man popping out on you. Really, really well done. This house is amazing, and having the opportunity to walk through it during the day and take pictures was a dream come true.
And that is it. We are done. We are back up here at the Blue Man Group. That is the end of our tour. Super, super awesome tour this year. Amazing set of houses for the 6-house tour. Harry absolutely killed it as our tour guide. Huge shout out to him. Huge UOAP fist bump to Harry. He was an amazing tour guide. Honestly, this was a great day, and I hope you guys did enjoy the little facts that they were spread to us throughout the entire tour, as well as the pictures that I was able to take and share with you guys. I hope you really did enjoy this. I love doing this for every year for you guys, just to kind of give this opportunity to people who cannot afford to go out and do this tour. I really want to be able to spread that to you guys. But if you did enjoy this video, please make sure you drop a like, and also comment down below what was your favorite picture or favorite thing that you saw from this video, from the houses, or things that you didn't know that I shared with you as far as little tidbits of knowledge. I'd really like to know down in the comments below. But as always, I'm Michael from Hallowed Thrills, giving you the all clear, and all clear means you're out of here. See you guys next time.